again to Watch It Wednesday. I have with me, as I said, my guest, Mr. Krishna Narhine. Now, Mr. Narhine, we all know you went to Cambridge High School, but which community are you from?
Well, I'm actually from Kingston to be exact. So I grew up for the most part in Kingston. Then I left Kingston and moved to St. James with my mother. And at the time, moving to St. because I had initially passed for Calabar and moving to St. James, there were so many options of school. But how I ended up at Cambridge to be exact, um, was a few friend of mine that were going to church. They also went to Cambridge, and I wasn't so much into the all boys school, so I decided I'm not going to Cornwall. And I mean that Cornwall and Calabar, for example, would be on the same level in a sense, but I believe that wherever you go and put your mind to, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. So I wasn't looking at the name of the school and what persons had to say at the time about Cambridge. I just believe that, hey, I can go there and make a difference. And can I tell you, all the schools that I've been to up to date, I can definitely say Cambridge tops the list without a doubt.
Awesome. I feel so proud. Thank you for saying that. Now,
No problem.
looking back,
Right.
everybody has their time where they go to high school and they have regrets. How would you describe yourself as a student?
I have absolutely no regret. I wish I was going to school now. I did have to work. But to tell you the truth, for me personally, it was a bit tough because as some of you teachers would know, I went through years where I had to times when I had to stop from school, had hard times with lunch. A friend of mine, his parents took me in and raised me for a few years because it was really really tough on my end. But there is no regret. As in every moment looking back, I can definitely say that it was well spent. I enjoyed it regardless of, what I was personally going through then. Every moment at the time, whether it be with friends, whether it be academically, whether it be, because we did debating, we were on the choir and stuff like that. I enjoyed every step of it. And to me, Cambridge was and will never be a school per se, but it's more a big family to me.
There you go. I like that testimony of community and family. When everybody
Definitely.
works together, there's nothing you can't achieve. That's very good. Now, when you left Cambridge High School, graduating, what did you do after that? Did you immediately go into the hospitality industry or did you pursue higher education?
All right. So after leaving Cambridge, I went back to Kingston, and believe me, I really didn't have any. I knew at the time because we were in debating, and I was fond of the idea of being a lawyer. So that was what was on the top of my mind at the time. But of course, to afford being a lawyer was really far fetched. So and I also knew that I had to go to university and stuff like that. So I decided that I knew that I wanted to go back to school, but I just didn't know how I was going to do it. And I went back to Kingston, and coincidentally, or more like a blessing, I met someone that um, had an acquaintance at NCB. So I ended up sending in, I think, filling out a form and doing some other stuff, and ended up with an NCB scholarship for 2 years.
Wow.
And I ended up doing sixth form at Wolmer's Boys. And keep in mind, for the 2 years at Wolmer's Boys, as I said, I didn't pay any school fee. Wolmer's old boy got me a place to stay for the time frames, and going to school, I got free lunch, whatever I wanted to eat, and stuff like that. But I mean, it took some effort from my end because I remember when I wanted to go to Woolmer's and I went there to drop off, fill out the form and everything. They were saying to me that they were pretty much booked in term. They were filled. There was no more space and stuff like that. And I went back home, a bit disheartened, not knowing what I was going to do. and I prayed about it because I definitely believe in God wholeheartedly. I prayed about it, and I just got up and said, you know what, I'm going back to the school, and I'm not taking no for an answer. And I went back and I spoke to the I think the secretaries at the desk, and they were saying that, oh, we spoke to you yesterday, there's no space and all that same thing. I said that, no, listen, I want to talk to the principal, which was Dr. Walton Small at the time. I said, listen, I want to talk to the principal. They were telling me, he's, booked with other events and stuff like that, won't have any time, they can answer my question. I was like, no, I'll sit here and I'll wait for him to come. And if I don't see him today, I'm coming back tomorrow. But I want to speak to Dr. Walton Small. And I think I sat there for about 5 hours, and he showed up. And the moment I saw him, I said that I want to have a word with you. I know you don't know me. I'm from St. James. I know that you taught at Cornwall, and you were the principal at Anchovy High. So that was something to for him to for us to have a familiar ground, for him to be interested in hearing what I had to say. And I went into his office and I said that I want to come here, and they're telling me that they are completely filled out and all of that. And it was like, and well, I also said to him, I'm not taking no for an answer, even if it means I have to stand up in the class. I'm fine standing up. And he laughed and he said, here's what. I don't know who told you no, but you're coming to school September. So so there are things in life that it might not go as smoothly as other people, but you know once you believe you can do it, once you put in some work and stuff like that, it is possible. So back to your question, I'm trying not to divert too much.
No,
So
man, you're doing well.
after after Wilma's, I started UA, and I had to stop because I didn't have anywhere to live at the time. I wasn't It was hard getting a job because I was stuck somewhere between not having a degree, too many subjects for a wholesale to hire me. A
Mm-mm.
security company would not hire me. Believe me, I've applied to so many security companies, wholesales, factories, you name it. I've walked up and down in the sun for literally like days upon days, and to date, none of those jobs ever gave me a call. So I had to stop from UA. I think I went there for a few months, but I went to UA with doing liberal studies because the aim was to just get a degree, and then I could just switch over into law. But as I said, I had to stop, and the aim after being stopped was just after stopping was pretty much just to get a job, just to put food on the table at the time. And believe me, it was kind of hard even mentally, because a lot of people were expecting you to do well. A lot of people that were even younger than myself from church, for example, we're studying law, we're doing medicine and stuff like that. And when they call me or when they text me and say, hey Krishna, what's up, what you doing? I mean, it was hard telling them that, hey, I'm stuck at home, can't even get a job. So it was pretty tough mentally, but I didn't spend my time at home feeling sorry for myself. I did a lot of self development, and believe me, if people do that, especially students, as I would normally tell others, where the mind goes, the man follows. If you believe it, it definitely can happen. It might not happen how you want it. It might not happen. You might not get what you initially wanted, but greater things are definitely there if you do not settle for little things. So I eventually got a job at the electoral office for a few months. Then I got another job at a call center for a few months. The call center, well, the electoral job was as I said, just a few months during the election time, and the call center job, it just did not sit well with me. I knew I was going to be there, pretty much getting paid to feed myself and going back at work, and I've seen so many people including UAU Tech graduates, go there and get comfortable because you know it brings them through the week, through the day, through the year. But that thought just did not sit well with me. But keep in mind, while I was there, even though I knew I did not want to be there, I still excelled for the few months I was there. They begged me not to leave. I was awarded one of their top agents. I saved the money. I made the money the company so much money and stuff like that. I eventually left um and was back at home trying to trying to find another job and stuff like that. And then I eventually got called a church sister of mine. She worked at Iberostar, and then she dropped off my resume and some other places where I dropped off my resume and application. Called me. I think they all called about 6 places. Keep in mind, I was out of a job for maybe about 2 years, and about 6 different places called me in one day. Just out of the blues, everywhere called me.
Wow.
Right. And I eventually I got called from Chocaco from the electoral office again. Another call center that was in Kingston at the time, and as I mentioned, at the Iberostar Resort. And I went into the Iberostar to do the interview. I think I've answered your question, but I'm heading too much
Yeah,
in.
just tell me you went to Iberia Star. Tell me.
All right, so I started at Iberos. Well, I went to Iberostar and did the interview. As a matter of fact, I went there for a pool concierge position, to pick up towels off the pool. I think some resorts, the pool concierge, they do serve drinks and stuff like that. So that's what I went in for because again,
Okay.
I just wanted to fill a gap and try to jump back into going to UE and all of that.
Yeah, because
Something that would actually pay a little bit more than just putting food on the table.
boy, your
And
testimonies are good. Trust me, they are motivational for young students out there. They're certainly
yeah,
motivational.
man, thanks.
So,
um Go ahead.
okay, I was going to ask you, while you were at Iberia Stars, was that when
Mm.
you realized you wanted to go into butler service, or how did you end up in that field?
It was when I went in for to Iberia Star. I went in for a pool concierge position, as I said,
Mhm.
just the sake of having a job. They immediately did another interview with me on spot for front desk because they're saying that they think I'm more fitting for that job.
Or you have the look?
So, so when I finished that, was successful, got at the gate, and they called me and said that we think that we want you to be a butler. I was like, I don't know much about being a butler. The only thing I knew about being a butler at the time was what I saw on Fresh Prince of Bel Air with Jeffrey.
You know, I
That's what
thought the
I thought.
same thing.
That's what I thought. I was like, that just don't seem like something I want to do. It just doesn't sit well with me. So I was really iffy about it. And I had a conversation with a few people that worked at resorts, and they had ideas of they had better knowledge of what butlers were like, and they were like, no, it's nothing like that, etc. You should give it a try. So I had to pick between Chaka Cove and the other, I think, 4 jobs and Iberia Star. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. Keep in mind, at the time I knew nothing about the salary, so I didn't make a choice based on salary. I didn't know anything at all. As I say, I just thought that, based on what I heard and praying about it, I just felt led to do that. And that's how I ended up being taking that job, my first job as a butler.
Okay. Now, my next question is, describe what it exactly entails to be a butler and how popular is this field? Because as you said, we only know about it from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So how popular is it and what really do you do?
All right. It's really not that popular in this side of the island. Well, this side of the world, to be exact. You would find you really only find butlers here in the resorts, which is completely different from working with a private family or working for for the Queen of England or something of that sort. It's completely different.
Wow.
Yeah. But you also have private butlers here for the Governor General, for the consulates, for like the US ambassador to Jamaica, the Chinese ambassador to Jamaica. So you have different variations of butler here in Jamaica. But as I said, it's really nothing popular. And it's really different if you compare both, but it's pretty much customer service in a to a higher extent because you have to, for example, in the resorts, you have to you serve drinks, you serve food to your guests, but you also have to build a relationship with them, have build a quick rapport, let them feel like they're family in a short space of time and stuff like that. In a private household, you might be more, you might be um, required to talk less. So you might be required to talk less. You might do dinner serving. You might do shopping. You might do pay bills and stuff like that. Um,
Okay.
I want to add though that you you have butlers that aren't called butlers. You have, for example, you have personal assistants. A lot of personal assistants are also classified.
Oh,
A lot of
interesting.
hosts, right? A lot of host managers, a lot of house managers, estate managers, they are also slash butlers. So,
Okay, never knew that at all.
so as I say, you might not hear the name butler, but there's a lot of butlers walking around.
Okay. Very interesting. Now, would you encourage other persons to pursue this career? Is it something that is meaningful? You know, people look at the money part. Is it worthwhile?
All right. It is definitely worthwhile in terms of the money part, and also I can tell you that you'll get chances to meet persons you wouldn't meet on a daily basis. So, for example, while I was at Ibera Star, I met the singer Akon. I met Stevie Wonder. Who else did I meet? I mean, regular Jamaican artists. I was Movado's butler for about 2 years, and
Excuse me now. My father has a butler.
yeah, but I was his butler and a few other people. I, as is, I am close friends now to a gospel artist. I'm not sure if you know him, Delani. I am close friend to him now. And as I said, there's just big names that you will meet: basketball stars, multimillionaires,
So
billionaires, you name it.
basically, you get good pay and you get opportunity to like live your dream because everybody wants to meet a famous person and you get that opportunity being a butler.
Correct. And I can tell you, as it relates to the salary, it all depends on where you work, but it is pretty rewarding. You have butlers here in Jamaica that are making maybe twice, triple what doctors and lawyers here make.
Oh,
Uh,
see, you didn't even mention teacher. Oh, oh Lord, don't laugh.
and then, for example, you have butlers elsewhere in the world that are making maybe like anywhere from 100,000 US dollars a year, and you have I personally know a butler that he makes I think 60,000 euros a month. That if you work it out would probably be like 8 million Jamaican dollars a month.
The next time there's an opening, please send me an application. Thank you. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
man.
good though, because to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
salary in Jamaica is what really most students, young people, they look to that. That shouldn't be the end all or the be
Right.
all, but people tend to need that as extra motivation. So
There you go.
hearing you say this, I know it will motivate persons to explore that field, because very few persons would ever think of becoming a butler unless they apply, as you say, to the hotel, and the hotel just place you randomly in the post and
Randomly.
you work with it. So
Right.
that's a good thing right there. Who would you say are persons are suitable? Which persons are suitable for this field? I'm certain no any random person can just come up and say, "Ah, I want to be a butler." Who would you say?
You have to be a people person. You have to um it's a plus if you communicate well in this sense doesn't necessarily mean you are good uh, on the command of standard English, because believe it, I have a friend, he's no longer a butler, that he worked with me at Iberia Star, and he wasn't so well with the English language. But I can tell you this, he's very smart, and he just has that level of charisma that he grabs the attention of his guests, and he gets his work done, and he was just love. And I guess it was a plus for him because the guests, the tourists, they love the
Yeah,
dialect in a sense, so it worked well in his favor. So I think that if you just love people, then that's definitely or love serving people, then that's definitely a start.
yeah, that's always a plus in your industry. In hospitality, being
Right.
a lover of people is always a plus. Now, are there any requirements that you would say a butler needs, special other than having this? Remember, you said you had so many subjects, and
Mhm.
I'm certain they didn't really look at that. So, are there any requirements? Do you have to have something in food and nutrition or home management? What is it that you need?
It's definitely a plus if you have other things to offer, like in foods or something thereof. So it's a plus. Customer service, if you can, if students can go ahead and do like a course in customer service, then that will definitely add to it. But if you're looking to go like on an international level, then you would have, well, let me definitely point out that Heart Trust NTA, that they they definitely have a lot of stuff to offer, including being able to steer you in that direction. So students can definitely go there. They might, I'm not sure, not to my knowledge, I've researched over the past. So if they do have any butler course right now, it must be something new. But if you're looking to go on an international level, then there are schools across the world, from in Europe to the UK to America, you name it. So there are different schools that students are definitely able to go.
Very good. So right now it seems as if Jamaica is behind in that, in offering any form of education or training in that field. So probably that is why most persons wouldn't be aware of it, because I mean there's really no avenue for training. But I guess you can find adjunct courses, as you said, something in food management, probably something in bar training, bartender training, and those would adopt. But there's not a total package that you could get trained in as a butler.
For know what they, I think the best thing that if a student is definitely interested in being a butler, other than those courses that you did mention, I think the best thing to do is just find your foot in a resort or a hotel, and they, because a lot of them
Practical training
do trainings
on the
there,
job. Very
right?
good.
So
I
you
like
get,
that advice.
right, so you get training and you'll get the experience, and that's definitely a good start, because that's how I started really.
Work experience. I keep telling them when I send you to the hotels, do your best. Work experience.
I
No,
agree.
is there anything special about your career that you'd want to share? Any little thing, anything?
So yeah, that's really a highlight for me now. Previously, I mean, I did get offer to work with the U.S. ambassador to Jamaica. Unfortunately, I had to decline because of personal reasons. But I mean, there have been highlights. Um, Traveling is definitely one of them. Keep in mind, I've 4 years ago, I've never ever traveled before, never.
Wow.
And to date, I think I've been to maybe a little over 20 different countries, including
So we are
Dubai,
taking plane like taxi now. Wow. See,
something
lots
like
of
that.
perks.
So
Lots of
Dubai,
perks.
Dubai, Italy, Singapore, you name it. And believe me, I saw myself going to these places before it even happened. When I had $0 in my account, when I didn't even own a passport, I envisioned myself in those places. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but as I said, where the mind goes, the man follows.
Yes, the saying, if you believe it, you can achieve it. It's
There
definitely
you go.
true. Speak it, manifest it into being.
There
Our
you go.
final question, and I ask this of all my guests: what encouragement, word of encouragement, what thought would you leave with our students?
If I should look at if I had a chance to talk to my younger self, I would say that trust God and trust the process. Things might not happen, when you want it, how you want it, but the world is full of opportunities. There's just so many things out there, and don't limit yourself to just Jamaica. There's a big world out there, and believe it, if another man can be a millionaire or a billionaire or have the best of life, then I mean, I don't see why you can't achieve it. So it is possible.
So true. Well, we have come to the end of our interview, Mr. Narine. And trust me, I am very motivated. I am empowered by your testimony. And I am certain that the students or even adults who watch this interview, they would be empowered as well because you shared so many nuggets with us that when you really think on them, when you manifest your dream, when you believe, when you persist, there's nothing that is impossible. Thank you so
Definitely.
much for taking
Thank
time
you
out
so
of
much.
your day to share with us. I'll forever appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much for having me.